Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with a video. Yes, it's been a minute. Well, I am now going to do the cutting video for the Shadow Dancer T-Rex sword. Now, give this thing a little test cut. Right. Try a little lower down on the blade. Alright. So this definitely seems like it's having an easier time cutting through the pool noodles. Alright, so this definitely has a much more slicey blade. And unlike the Hanban, this blade has a much more pronounced dispial taper, meaning that it starts out thick here and gets thin towards the very tippy tip point. Ito wrap is a bit slick, and as I believe I mentioned in the unboxing, I'm not a fan of this really short suka. In fact, I would more along the lines call this thing more of a kodachi than a katana, which for those of you who don't know, a kodachi is in between a wakizashi and a katana. Usually a wakizashi blade married to a katana grip. Or in this instance, more of a wakizashi blade married, I was going to say more of a katana blade married to a closer wakizashi sized grip. Kashira is still tight. I don't feel anything loosened. Of course, admittedly speaking, with the types of targets that I am limited in cutting, I don't really have a lot of ability to really stress this blade. I will say one thing that I have noticed, and that is this thing, at least when it comes to pool noodles, really likes to be flick cut. Now, what do I mean about flick cut? Well, it's basically as I'm swinging the blade down, I'm essentially flicking the blade, like so. And by flicking the blade, I give the sword just a little extra bit of power before it makes contact, allowing the edge to bite in more. It definitely has a much, I would say, about 50% more keen edge than the Hanban did. But as far as I'm aware, this is mono-hardened, either 9260 or 65 MN spring steel, according to what Outlaw Pimp and I looked up. Technically, it's the cruciform steel, but let's be real, all steel is cruciform steel nowadays. As I said, I do still have my personal biases towards Shadow Dancer as a company, but let it never be said that Outlawed cannot still give fair and constructive criticism to products themselves. So, how would I describe this as a cutter blade? Well, it's definitely not as bad as the Hanban was. This sword, if it was sharpened to its maximum, I would be a little more willing to give to the hands of a beginner. Simply because it is lighter than the Hanban. It's a little more easy to move around. A little more quick and nimble, for one. And B, the edge is not as stout. This sword does not have a significant amount of Niku compared to the Hanban, meaning that it's a much more slicey oriented blade. So I'm going to do something I don't think to this day I've ever done in terms of a sword review, and give it a cunning score out of 10. With all the blades I've cut with over the years, I'll give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. So, until next time, I know a band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai tells all y'all be crazy rednecks, be safe and use your weapons. I'm out. Peace.